This is Robert Martellacci, the MindShare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine. And welcome to This Week in Canadian EdTech special MindShare TV Back to School edition. I'm honored to have joined me for a MindShare Learning moment Dan Rolo, who is a middle school teacher at the Holy Family Catholic School in Wallaceburg, Ontario. Winners of the Canada Schools of the Future Challenge this past June announced. And Daniel, I've got some prizing that we're going to be shipping you today. And
wow.
Just now that you're back and able to receive products, and there's a knapsack from Dell and the XPS. And I'm envious of you at getting that XPS. It's a great device. How does that make you feel?
Super excited. We've been really excited since we learned about the contest and the fact that we placed in the contest. It's really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Now, talk to me about what inspired you to go on teaching and to embrace technology in engaging kids.
Yeah, well, it's actually my journey into teaching is a roundabout one. I was finishing up some grad work at McGill, and I took a year off. And coming from
great school, by the way, that's where we're hosting our EdTech Summit this fall.
Yeah, and beautiful campus, beautiful city. And anyways, I took a year off after finishing my grad work, and coming from an immigrant Portuguese family, you don't just sit around on the couch. You either go and get a job or you got to do something. So my godmother, who actually worked in the school board that I currently work in, invited me to come and volunteer in her classroom and work with the students that she worked with, and fell in love with it and decided to change careers and go to teachers college, and haven't looked back ever since.
And talk to me about back to school and preparation for that, and the mindset, and what, it's a different year than last year. The years just keep getting better. I'm hopeful that, we get a greater sense of normalcy. What's it looking like for you for back to school? You're doing some professional learning this week, no doubt, as you prepare your classroom.
Yeah, so we're really excited to be back in school. I mean, as I'm sure most teachers can attest, being online during COVID was not the ideal for learning for either teachers or students. So we're really excited to be back in the school, and we've got a number of things going on at our school specifically. We've started a scholastic esports program. We have a number of things to welcome students back and get them re-engaged back into the routine, so to speak.
And the prizing you've got, and I'm going to pop it up on the screen in a moment here. You've got a whole host of prizes that's going to add to your arsenal of tools in the classroom. Talk to me about how important it is to leverage the right tools at the right time, and the process that you went through with the video, recording and engaging kids, and really giving them agency to share what they've learned in a very transparent way.
Yeah, well, that's the big one. And that's really important for me, is that student choice, student voice, having them make sure that they're heard, that the education that they're getting is their education, that they take ownership of it. And so I'm always looking for tools, whether they're, pencil and paper tools or digital tools, virtual reality tools, whatever the tools might be, to help students engage with their own learning. So in the video that we submitted, we had had a number of things going on last year, and it was very much students sort of led. The video itself was student created. I helped a little bit with the editing, but the students came up with the script of what they wanted to say. They recorded it themselves. They put the video together to kind of showcase some of the things that they've been learning last year.
And what was their reaction, in the final? The journey wasn't easy, right? I'm going to pop that up in a second here.
Yeah.
While we're talking, and we'll just roll it for a bit.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you they were super excited. I mean, the school that I teach at specifically is a little bit socioeconomically disadvantaged. So first of all, being able to use these tools gives the students a number of skills that they can draw on later if they want to pursue different careers with the skills that they've learned. But just to win something like that or be recognized for the work that they had been doing was phenomenal for them.
And what's in store? How have you prepared for back to school differently than in the past? And here we go. So are you seeing the screen okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the creation, the programming, talk to us about some of the work that they did in the classroom that was different.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been working on and working on a lot coming into this school year as well, but maybe for the past 7 or 8 years, is incorporating 3D interactive tools like the Unreal Engine, which is a game creation software, but can also be used for architecture, cinematics, etc. And we've been using that to sort of teach students game design, lighting, animation, graphic design, some of those skills that they can draw on, or at least if they don't draw on it, maybe possibly open up ideas, consider a career in graphic design, for example.
Right.
So going into this year, we were actually approached by Epic Games and Steve Isaacs over there, their education program director, to pilot an animation sort of course that they want to do. So we'll be working on animation a lot.
I think they would be a great sponsor of our contest next year. Please put us
absolutely,
in touch.
Absolutely.
And talk to me about the impact as you're talking through this video that we're seeing.
Yeah, so I mean, if you take a listen to the video, you hear students themselves kind of talking about what are some of the skills that they learned, and that, like, for example, right on the screen right there is a student who is really into video games, like a lot of students. And so he wanted to learn how to go beyond sort of coding in Scratch, which we definitely do to teach computer science.
Right.
He wants to get into the video game industry and create 3D titles. So this opened up a career possibility for him. He's off to high school this year, so he's now looking into taking computer science courses in high school and possibly getting into that field.
What does it say about kids when you give them agency?
Oh my gosh, they'll definitely surprise you. I mean, especially the older that they get, they kind of know what they want to get out of life. They kind of know the skills that they have and that kind of thing. Providing them with the skills to open doors and possibilities and let them kind of explore new avenues is also great, but they'll definitely surprise you. It's amazing what they can come up with. It's amazing how they can articulate themselves. It's just amazing to watch them.
How do you assess these students in this kind of new normal? That appears to have been a bit of a challenge. Have you figured that piece out?
Yeah. So, I mean, are you asking in terms of like academic assessment?
Yeah. So because they check quite a number of boxes when they're going through that process of game design and graphic design and working together in teams, etc.
Yeah, so that's the key, is like I do assess some of the academic aspects of it, but I also am looking for some of those soft skills, so to speak. How do they work in a team? How do they collaborate? How do they contribute ideas? Because ultimately that's more important and more valuable for them rather than can you remember how to program this specific thing to happen. But a lot of our assessments, because of the nature of the software that we use, is co-constructed. So we talk about it together.
Right.
What do you want to get out of this? What kind of product do you want to make at the end? And then I kind of go with what are my goals, academic and curriculum goals, and we kind of come up with the rubric that way.
Fantastic. What advice do you offer educators who might be reticent to change or maybe new in the classroom and haven't really been exposed to the depth and breadth of the tools that you have in your toolbox?
Yeah, so I would say I completely understand being hesitant to change or wanting to learn something new. It can be very daunting. I know, for example, in my case with the Unreal Engine, it was very daunting when I first started because I had no experience in it. But ultimately, if the focus is on students and doing what's well and what's good for students, we'll get over that. Learning a new piece of software, learning it as you go, having the students teach you, because in many circumstances, they'll know better than you will. kind of eliminates, for me anyways, eliminates that fear of not knowing or not understanding, knowing that the ultimate goal is students come away with some very valuable skills, and it's ultimately good for them.
And it changes the narrative, doesn't it? It becomes more of a team approach as opposed to one to many.
Yeah, absolutely. And a teacher, if you know, I used to believe when I first started teaching 16 years ago, I was supposed to impart all this knowledge. But now I know that it's more important that I use my experience to sort of teach students and facilitate them learning the knowledge that they need.
And are your colleagues in your school coming along as well? How's that coming together? Because it is part of the journey, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Engaging others.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I'm super blessed to work with an amazing staff. The teachers at my school love educational technology. They're very supportive of anyone wanting to try something new. I would say I lucked out like that, but I think a lot of staffs are like that, that if you rely on your colleagues as well for support, that great things can happen.
With that, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got some preparations for some professional learning and getting your class ready for next week.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That was Dan Rolo, middle school teacher at Holy Family Catholic School in Wallaceburg, Ontario, winners of the Canada's Schools of the Future Challenge. And best of luck for back to school. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.